What is going on with Blink charging? What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor. It's too warm to wear the hoodie. But today we have to speak about some big news that's going on right now in the world of EV. We have to speak about Blink. So July 30th, I made a video about these guys, okay? And it was just that week that an insane run started to happen. A little bit of backdrop. I planned on investing in these guys at about $6 a share initially. I put it off a few days to make a YouTube video and it was too late. They started running up in price so incredibly quickly. They peaked out just about $14.50 within a space of a week or so. I mean, the run up was absolutely insane, people. And as I'm recording this on Sunday, they're currently at $6.80 a share. I mean, what a fall from the top that was. Now, there was essentially two research companies who released, short interest articles. Essentially articles saying that, Blink is lying or they're manipulating the information that they are putting out there. And this caused a lot of short interest in Blink. It caused a lot of investors to panic, to sell. Now, very quickly after these reports began to come out, okay, Blink came back with their own counter argument. Short sellers attacked Blink charging with false, manipulative, and defamatory reports. So who should we be believing right now? That's the big question. And that's where this video comes into play, guys. So I've done a fair bit of research. Blink is a company I'm very interested in. I've done a lot of research into them in the past, and I thought I missed out on an entry opportunity. But the question is, people, are the claims against Blink true, or is it just people trying to manipulate the market? So we're going to do our best to answer those questions today. But right before we do that, can I please ask you to hit that juicy like button, as it genuinely helps me and the channel out so much. I really would appreciate it. Please also hit that juicy red subscribe button. It would mean an awful lot to me. We are like this close to 25,000 subs. If we can get there, that would be sick. And drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole situation, especially if you are an investor in Blink. Let me know if you held or sold off. With that being said, let's get into it, people. So guys, this here is the very first thing I want to show everybody. It's just Blink's price action in general. So we're looking on the 1 month chart, and we can see that, we were around 7 to 650 for a little bit of time. We were in somewhat of a consolidating phase, and then seemingly out of nowhere, we absolutely boomed up in value, and they peaked out at 14.44. Now there was a big pullback, okay, all the way down to 10. Then we were back up to around $12 or so for a long time. Keep in mind that if we go back further to the 6 month chart, there was a lot of time here for people to buy somewhere between, the high 5s and low 7s. And also keep in mind that for the longest time, this was somewhere between $1.50 and $2 a share. And then we can also see, we somewhat trickled back down, but there was still some really nice return if you're one of the people who got in around $6 or $7. And then this crash happened, and we are right back down to those levels of the high 6s. I mean, guys, on the 1 month chart, Blink is now actually down 4%, and they were up more than 100% at one stage. So a very crazy month for Blink investors. So what's the big deal? This right here. A scathing short seller reporter sent Blink charging plummeting. There was actually two reporters, one day after the other. A little bit fishy, but anyway. Now the company is claiming its stock is being manipulated by false info. And we can actually see this right here. Blink have made this announcement. It's on their investors relations page. They use the title, Short Sellers Attack Blink Charging with False, Manipulative and Defamatory Reports. The company has become aware of false, defamatory and anonymous reports posted on August 19, 2020. We believe these reports were intended to manipulate our stock price downwards in support of short sellers. Blink Charging categorically denies the allegations and their implications. Blink Charging will defend itself vigorously against these false allegations, and is also reviewing all legal options at its disposal to hold the authors and the sponsors of these reports responsible for the baseless attack. So I'm very happy to see this very quick response from Blink saying this is false, this is not the case. So there was two articles came out, literally one after the other, and this is the main one I want to speak about. It's from Culpa Research, okay, and then there is another one here from Mariner Research Group. Now, I've never heard of either of these companies, but the one that most people are speaking about is Culpa Research. And I have read through this entire thing in its entirety, okay? And they put forward a lot of what would seem to be good points. But also a lot of it is not necessarily factual, and you have to take their word for a lot of what they're saying, and it most certainly is defamation. And before we even start looking into what these guys have said and compared to what Blink has said in, their Q2 earnings, their previous reports, I want to show you something about this company right here, Culpa Research. I want to show you Culpa Research's past 4 deals. You're probably thinking, I don't know who any of these companies are. And also, look at this. Look at the profit and loss on these trades. They are not doing very good. Look, Culpa Research seems like a ridiculous ridiculous concept to me. They find companies with relatively low market caps who have recently went on a massive run to the upside. They create a short, bearish article. People get scared, people sell it, people short it. You know, that's what we saw happen with Blink. You know, they were at, what, about $10 or so, $11 maybe when these articles started going into circulation. Now they're all the way down to the high sixes. I mean, this seems like market manipulation, and I will be extremely surprised if these guys are allowed to continue on like this. The company has no about us, no names on the report, no location of their operation, no accountability. Investors need to watch out for mudslingers that are ghosts and do not exist. When you look through this report, okay, there's nothing on it. There's no names, okay? There's, as that article just said, there's no accountability. Literally anybody could have written this report up. Just keep that in mind. Anybody could make up anything. It's highly illegal. As I said, it's defamation, but you can't do it. It's a ghost company, okay? There is no management. There is no contact number. Just a Twitter address linked to the website. The web presence was created on the 18th of the 6th, 2019. The author is anonymous and trying to install fear into the market, essentially, to make a book, but has one of the worst track records. I mean, whoever this is, they can't even make money manipulating the market. That is how bad they are at this. So guys, we're going to get into this report. I'm not going to spend much time on it because honestly, like, from what I've just told you, these guys, why would we listen to them? There's no accountability. We don't know the name behind the report. It could all be completely and utterly made up. So the very first paragraph kind of sums it all up. We are short Blink Charging as we believe that the company has vastly exaggerated the size of its EV charging network in order to siphon money from the pockets of investors to insiders. That's a very bold phrase to make when you literally are trying to siphon money from investors. Blink claims that EV drivers can easily charge at any of its 15,000 charging stations, but we estimate the company's functional public charging station network consists of just 2,192 stations, a mere 15% of this claim. Now let me show you where some of this is coming from. So if we go to Blink's up-to-date investors presentation, nationwide locations open to all drivers, okay? 5,600 plus commercial EV charging stations in 40 states, 8,900 plus residential charging stations deployed, 15,000 plus EV charging stations throughout the US. So I mean, it's not hard to see that 8,900 of those 15,000 are residential charging stations deployed, and more than likely aren't open to all drivers. But at the same time, people, anybody can see that. And also keep in mind that residential charging stations don't necessarily mean they have to be in somebody's private garage. They could be in a housing estate or a flat estate, something like that. So although I do definitely agree that 15,000 plus EV charging stations aren't necessarily open to all drivers, I do think that their claim of 2,192 is just completely exaggerated. Now the next sentence, in stark contrast to management's further claims that these chargers are high-tech and in high demand, our investigators confirmed what Blink's financials already suggest. Almost no one uses Blink's charging stations. Now, this statement right here is ridiculous to me. They go on to speak about the numbers, how little people actually use them, etc. But again, it's not even important because I've already made my mind up. I don't believe this. And please keep in mind right now as I say this, I'm not invested in Blink. At this moment in time, to me, it does not matter if they go up or down. I'm not invested. It won't affect me in any way whatsoever. On this channel, I never try to push an agenda, okay? But I want to make it really clear. I'm not invested in this company. So I would have no reason to try and persuade you guys that this is fake. This is just genuinely what I believe. So if we go on to their Q2 earnings, revenues for the first 6 months of 2020 surpassed the full year of 2019 revenues. Guys, this, simply put, is not something you can lie about. If it is, it comes out and you lose everything. Of course, there is fraud out there from time to time, but guys, it really is very, very rare. I mean, fraud destroys companies. Look at Luckin Coffee, for example. You cannot assume that every earnings report you read is false. Product sales of EV charging equipment increased more than 350%. I mean, who are we going to believe, guys? BLNK, a company with SEC filings, or a ghost company who has a history of shorting companies who are doing really, really well? I know who I'm going to believe. And total second Q2 revenues increased 120%. Now what I will say, okay, is this. The company's March 2020 press release states that Blink Charging is a leader in electric vehicle charging equipment and networked EV charging stations. Now this part I do deem to be true, enabling EV drivers to easily charge at any of its 15,000 charging. Now at the end of the day, that's not strictly true. And we can't say that it is strictly true. But I mean, that's always going to be the case. There is always going to be some things said along those lines. It would be very easy to cherry pick words or phrases from certain companies' quarterly earnings. I mean, you could do it for any company out there. And if you're a person who owns a ghost company, who makes a living convincing people that you need to sell a stock, you're going to take everything you can. So we believe Blink overstates its functional public charge account by nearly 7 times, and the company's true functional public network holds just 2,192 chargers. Again, I don't agree with this number whatsoever, but it is what it is. And again, this is one of their big arguments. So unless Blink expects that all residential charge owners are set to open their garages for complete strangers to steal their electricity, the company's claim that EV drivers can easily charge at any of its 15,000 charging stations is an egregious overstatement which we suspect has been designed to mislead investors. Now, I can agree here that the phrasing used was poor, and I mean, at the end of the day, it probably wasn't an honest mistake. It probably was put in there to set off that impression, but at the same time, they do break down exactly where these charging stations are. And if you're an investor, you do due diligence, okay? You understand that these ones, you know, not all of them will be available to you. So again, this seems to be their biggest argument by far. Now, this here is something else that I'm sure is going to scare people. Using the details offered on Blink's live map, we visited 242 chargers at 88 locations across the US. These visits only reinforced our view that Blink's charging network claims are totally disconnected from reality. So missing chargers, 9.5% of the time. Okay, anybody could say that. I could make up any number I want to support my claim if I'm a ghost company. Non-functional charges, 16.1%. Again, easy to make up. Inaccessible charges, 7.4%. Well, why don't you just call it 10%? Guys, it's a ghost company. They have no credibility. They have no accountability. They have a history of doing this multiple times. Now, here we do get to see some pictures. Okay, there's one that has a few leaves on it. The screen doesn't work, which obviously isn't a good thing. But I mean, guys, I'm sure that every single charging provider out there has some that are not working. I mean, even Tesla, I'm sure they have some dead chargers, people. Oh no, there's a few cobwebs. Let's just wipe out more than half of this company's market cap. There's a few cobwebs. That is not how things work. Blink claimed 3 chargers. We only found 2. Look, anything could have happened. One of which was badly damaged. Oh yeah, that looks so damaged. It's not, you can't even recognize it. Now look, it goes on to speak about Farkas and him selling 1.8 million shares over the span of 2 years. Blink's gone up so much in value. I mean, I know it's not necessarily something you want to see, but it's a lot of money. And numerous insiders have left the company since 2018. This is clutching at straws. I mean, this happens in every single company. If you wanted the list of insiders that have left Tesla since 2018, you would need a lot more than this. Now, I don't think Blink is perfect by any means. I really don't, and I think they have a lot of things they have to get better at in order to be a really successful company. There's been many reviews, okay, across both app stores saying that, you know, the chargers aren't working, or else, you know, there wasn't one where they thought there was going to be one, and that isn't acceptable. It most certainly isn't, but at the end of the day, guys, I mean, mistakes are going to happen, and the hope would be, if you are an investor, that they crack down on these sooner rather than later. I mean, can we all just keep in mind as well that this is a company that currently has a market cap of 215 million. I mean, they're still a relatively small company. They're still in a relatively early stage of their life cycle. Mistakes are going to be made, inevitably. Even the biggest companies do make mistakes. I mean, we always see it. Even the big tech companies. Facebook's always in the news for making mistakes. Tesla's made loads of mistakes. People will make mistakes, people. It's part of the journey, and that is definitely no reason for half of a company's market cap to get wiped out. So look, guys, all in all, nothing to me has changed about Blink in the long term. I mean, if you had done your research, you'd be aware that these were a relatively small company. They are doing very well, okay? You can't take that away from them. They are doing really well. I mean, even on the yearly chart, they're still up anywhere from kind of 300 to 500%. I mean, that's impressive, no matter what company you are. And that is at these price points, is after this insane sell-off that I just think was so unjustified. Now, this is one of the reasons why you do have to be careful about getting into these emerging companies, emerging EV companies in general. This is why on YouTube I always say, you know, in general, these companies are high risk, high reward. When a company has this small of a market cap, it is so easy for somebody to manipulate that market. I mean, $215 million worth of a market cap. To some people, that is pocket change, especially if you're a short seller, people. So to me, has anything changed? Has the way I feel about Blink changed? No, not necessarily whatsoever. Am I considering getting in at these price points? Potentially. Again, I want to make it very clear I'm not invested. I will keep a bit of a closer eye on them. I will go and do a little bit more research. I'll see what developments happen over the next week or two. Obviously now some lawsuits are going to come into play, which could take a bit of time out of Blink's schedule. The fundamentals have not changed. What I've thought in the past has not changed about Blink, and that is what is going on with Blink right now. So what do I think is going to happen next? One of two things. Either a lot of people are going to be relatively afraid, okay? People will have held through all of this, and you know, some people will get in, some people will sell, not a lot will happen. Or else I think that a lot of people are going to take this as an opportunity to get involved, and we could just see another sharp increase to the upside. A lot of people would have sold out with the intention of getting back in later on if these things were proven to be false. So it could be a little bit of a slow journey. They're probably not going to be the big move that they have been for the last month or so, but absolutely anything could happen. But anyway guys, as always, if you have watched until the end of the video, I appreciate you so much from the bottom of my heart. You genuinely mean the world to me. I hope you enjoyed, and you, my friend, are a true legend. If you did enjoy and you haven't yet, please hit that like button, drop me a comment, and subscribe if you're new around here. All of that means the world to me and helps me as a creator out so much more than you understand. I really do hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. I have another video coming out later on. Peace.